We argue for near being better than far, small being better than big, simple than complex. And even in the footnotes, the good people in Washington and Nashville and Boston and Chicago will argue against us. They will say that corporate is better than personal. We say no. They say that abstract is better than physical. And we here at the David Tulis Show at Nooga Radio, we say that physical is better than abstract against them. So they've got it wrong on 5 points. And we here arguing for local economy and the free market have it right. And our goal every day is to show that we have it right and to give you the ammo to think more clearly about your own future. And we're here is an effort of self-betterment on your account. And just give me a couple minutes today, and I hope that the parts you catch of my program will be a blessing and a benefit to you. Barry Field is an engineer with an office in Crossville, Tennessee. And in July, he did something at the behest of a client that we think is very important and remarkable, and that is to make an inspection of a private house. You say, oh, a big deal. Well, the house in question is that owned by Thomas and Carol Gaddy in Dunlap. And he has given it in a letter that he wrote to them, a letter, notarized letter, and under his authority as a state certified engineer, that the house is okay. There's nothing wrong with this house. Barry Field, you're the engineer who did that inspection in July. Give us just a quick sketch about what happened in your report, and then tell us just a little bit about who you are and what your background is and your qualifications to make these statements.
Well, good morning, Mr. Tulis. My name is Barry Field, and as you said, I am a licensed engineer in the state of Tennessee, along with 3 other states. I am a licensed general contractor in Tennessee, have been since 1987, been an engineer since 1987. And I did an inspection for Mr. and Miss Carol Gaddy on July the 24th, 2017. And let me add that this is the first contact that I ever had with this couple. Knew nothing about the situation. The only other person that I have met was Mr. Kelly Gaddy, who is the son of Miss Carol Gaddy. He took me for a tour. I believe I said we did it on July 24th. He took me for a tour of the house, and obviously the first thing I noticed that it was an old house, and I was told that it was built somewhere around 1900, which kind of the architecture kind of matched up with that, and also noticed that there was a tremendous amount of construction that had been done, and I was led to look at this house from a current standpoint, basically not look at in the past, just basically give it an overall structural inspection on that day, July 24th. I went through the house with Mr. Gaddy, and
is that Thomas or Kelly?
He showed me what the plans were, what he had done. We started off with a foundation, which is always a good place to start. And I went all the way around the house, under the house. The foundation basically has been rebuilt. And I see nothing that would make that anything wrong with that foundation at all from a structural standpoint. So then we started up, go from bottom to top. We looked at the flooring support and everything there, all the LVL beams, all the trusses, everything had been replaced. Everything was in good shape. Then we go inside because I want to walk the floors, make sure I don't feel any spongy spots, that kind of thing. We went through the entire house. I was like I said, I was being walked through with Mr. Gaddy, but Mr. Gaddy basically just let me do whatever I wanted to. So I checked every room. I found no places where I felt like there was any structural integrity whatsoever.
You mean there's no lack of? So, well, hold on just a second.
Then we went we went through the interior, not only the floors, but we started looking for cracks, sagging beams.
Can we just hold on a second, Barry? Hold on just a second,
and
Barry. Hang on. Barry, hang on a second, Barry.
Yes.
A question. All right. You said just backing up, since you're being listened to, I want to make sure that we catch you correctly. You said that you saw no structural integrity whatsoever. Now, did you mean to say that?
No negative structural integrity.
No lack of. I'm sorry. Again.
When I say structural integrity, I mean
Yes.
there wasn't anything there that would throw up a red flag
Okay.
to any other house that I've ever been into.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
It was built like it should be, and I see nothing structurally that would make this house anything other than livable, and not any structural issues that would cause a problem.
Now, what about the house is built near Coops Creek in a bend in the creek which is right in Dunlap. It's on Main Street in Dunlap, and it's in a low area. And the Gaddys, when they bought the house, said, "Well, we have a threat of flood, so we're going to raise the whole thing." Is that what happened there?
They raised the house. Basically, the best way I can describe it, they raised the house basically to where the front windows, the floor level is at the window level of the original house. So they've raised the house about 4 foot, and basically done the foundation so that if there is in case a huge flood, then the water's just going to flow in under it and be out. It's built more like a coastal house, which is what they need there. And and that was the thing that kind of took me off guard to start with. But then when I realized there was a creek over there, I understood exactly why they'd done what they done.
And those are very large, like not caissons, but they're very large structures that are round, I guess, steel reinforced concrete pillars, very fat pillars.
I think I measured them. I think they were 12 inches in diameter, all poured kind of like a caisson down into the ground. And I talked to Mr. Gaddy. He said they were poured on 16-inch footers, and that is all to support the house. He put in LVL beams all the way around where those pillars were.
Now, if the
house first foundation is fine.
If the listeners just joining us, we're talking with Barry Field. He runs Fields Engineering Consulting Services in Collierville, and on July 24 did an inspection of the Thomas and Carol Gaddy house in Dunlap, which is disputed, and the dispute is over whether this couple has to allow an inspection come search of the property as demanded by the city. And the city has sued the Gaddys. It's a 2-year case, 2 years running. There's an injunction against any further work on the house until there's an inspection. And the initial claim by the mayor, Dwayne Land, is that this house is a danger to the public, that it might fall over and injure the passing public on some border, perhaps, of this 1 acre lot. Barry Field, is there any danger of this being a danger to the occupants of the house? And then the second question would be to members of the public outside the domains of this building.
No, Mr. Tulis, I have no evidence that this house is either a danger to folks living in it or to anybody else, walking around the house, wherever. This house has been put back together very well, and bottom line is, I really couldn't find anything wrong with it. It's not finished, I will say that, but the plans are to finish it. But as it stands, as we sit here and talk, there is no danger to the public, and there is no danger to anyone who is living in the house.
Well, what I really appreciate about your work, Barryfield, is the brevity of your document. It's one page, and you have it notarized, which I guess is part of your calling.
That's my P certification for the state of Tennessee.
Okay, so you are effectively notarizing your own work as a licensed engineer. So it's your
that's right.
The man
that's
in
right.
your official
capacity. Basically, David, that's my stamp. That's what we engineers go by. And basically, the process is you go to school, you get your degree, and then 3 years later, you take your professional engineering exam. Once passed, you are issued a stamp, and that is your code. I mean, when I stamp something, my reputation is on the line.
When you took this job, Barryfield, quick question: Did you know about the dispute on the house, or did you just take it as just another humdrum, retail level engagement to inspect a property? That's not a business property; it's just a house. Did you know about the dispute around it?
The only thing that I knew, Mr. Tulis, is that when Miss Gaddy called me, she just said that there was some issues that had been brought up with the house. And basically, I told her, I said, just let me do my thing, and I'll write you a report of what I found.
Now the report,
and you can incorporate that into whatever else you need to. But I said, I'm just an engineer with a background in construction. But I said I will give you the best opinion that I possibly can, and and anything else, I just kind of tried to stay away from.
Right, you're not involved, and you're here in talking with my listener, not because you're a partisan in this issue. You're just looking strictly at the physical object of the house on Main Street in Dunlap, around which there's a dispute. But you're not part of that dispute. You're just saying, look, I don't care who wins. Those issues are not mine.
I know no one other than the Gaddys.
Right, and you're not a partisan, though your work is going to fit into that dispute. Now,
yeah, that's right. They basically hired me off the street to go and look at their house, because I do a big part of our business here is doing inspections, and this was no different than any other. I just go in and give my very best professional opinion that I possibly can. And that's what I've done here.
Now, just quickly, the Gaddy family member that gave you the tour was the son Kelly, who's
Kelly.
Okay, so Thomas was not there. Thomas and Mrs. Gaddy are not in the county. They're not even around there.
No,
they're not available.
No, only Kelly was there.
And he has done, I believe, a good bit of the work, being a kind of a builder, carpenter.
He's done a tremendous amount of work.
All right, and so of course he hasn't. There's an injunction against continuing work on that, so nothing's being done now. But up to the point where he had to stop labors on the house, you're saying, again, in a nutshell, the work is okay. Just so I can get it in one sentence or two, the sum of what you're saying about this property.
Yeah, with what Kelly has done, and like I said, I mean, he told me that he was not working on it at the moment at that time, and of course I asked him why, and he told me that, and that was one thing that I really wanted to check into. Was there anything left when he had to stop that would cause a problem? And I checked all those things. One of them being the deck that they have on the what would be the right-hand side of the house. I'm not sure what direction that is, but on the right-hand side of the house, there's some cantilever beams sticking out. I checked the origins of all those. They are secure, and hopefully, if they get to continue on the house, they can build a really nice deck there.
So the order of cessation did not leave the house hanging in a precarious position, you're saying?
No, it did not.
Okay. Well, listen, Barryfield, thank you so much for chatting with my listener me here at Nooga Radio. Good to get your insight. Now, just quickly, you have a one-page letter, and attached to it were 3 pages of photographs. Is that kind of public information? Can the city government look at that? Is that something that they should be presented, do you think, by the Gaddys?
as long as it's approved by, I prepared this for Miss Gaddy, and as long as she says so, it's fine with me.
All right. Well, listen, thank you so much for chatting with my listener, Barry Field. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tulis.
That's Barry Field, who is an engineer in Crossville, runs an engineering business, and says, during our inspection, we examined the following extensively in the Gaddy house, and there are 5 points, including foundation, flooring support, interior, the attic, and roof support. And he says, we found nothing that is not 100% structurally sound. And that's a letter under his stamp, an engineer's stamp, as a state-owned profession, a state-licensed profession as engineer. And he's giving that approval to the house that the mayor of Dunlap says is a danger to the public. And the mayor, under a city ordinance, has pursued this couple outside the rules. The rules in the city charter say that the case has to initiate in city court. But no, it didn't start in city court where it should have been cast initially. But this is David Tulis and Call. You're live on the air. The number here is 800-8949. What's on your mind?
David, this is great what you brought up, because maybe this should be a law. Maybe we need to pass another law that if your house needs to be inspected, you can allow a private individual to do it who is certified. You don't need the stinking lousy government sticking their nose in it. And I find local governments to be far worse than the federal government. Listen, I have a pilot's license, and in my log, it's a matter of me determining how many hours I flew and my ratings. It's not the government doing it. It's you. It's you saying that you're certifying it yourself. And even when you're dealing with the feds on many issues, it's either self-certification or you get an independent engineer in to do it. But these local governments want to stick their little noses in so they can hire their friends and their families. It's about power. This is not going to end because they want to win. It's not about, they know there's nothing wrong with the house, but the little governments, the little men and women of government, it's like these people that live in these little gated communities that now got a position of power. They go around in their little golf carts and determine whether or not, you have a little dish on the side of your house, or is your grass 3 inches instead of 2. That's what local government is.
Well, and local government, and I would say that local government can be much more devastating than national, because the people are here, right? They're dealing with another local person, and suddenly their integrity is on the line. Their neighbors all hear about the questions he's brought about a local business or a local homeowner, and so their character becomes at issue, and so they can't let it go. That's why a local prosecution of a case like a grass too high case, or you're saving water in other states, you're saving water from your gutter in a barrel. There have been people put into jail because they saved their own roof runoff for their gardens. They've been put in jail. People are growing tomatoes, don't have the right permit to do that, and so they're put into jail. There are many stories like that, and the local officials are perhaps the most aggressive because their name is on the line. It's in the local paper. They go to the other church across the street from where the victim goes, and so their identity is tied up in that expression of indignation on behalf of the law, right? They're going after the malefactor, the scofflaw, the non-compliant, the non-volunteering city person.
David, I've had more problem with local government over the years in my business than ever with the federal. I mean, you're talking about collectively, zoning officers walking in, these big fat 900-pound zoning officers that sit in their trucks all day and eat, 17.
Well, listen, Mike, around here, the zoning officers all eat local food, and they're trimming down, and their wives are working on them to get them to shop on Fridays and Saturdays at the local food market.
They demand that, permits, and so on and so forth. Now, I can't say that for Chattanooga. I haven't experienced that in Chattanooga, but I'm saying, and you know what? It may not be that way in Chattanooga, except for the mayor's office, who's too cowardly to come on the radio station and give interviews. But other than that, I can't speak for the zoning people.
Well,
I'm just saying my experiences with local government.
Well,
I assume are going to be different here in Chattanooga because the people are different. But go Gaddies, keep it up. Don't give in. Stand your ground, and don't let the leftists, because that's what they are. They're a bunch of socialists, sniff around in your house. That's my opinion.
Well, that's right, Mike, and thanks. I think you're making a point. It is a kind of socialism where it's democratic control, right? What we have in Dunlap is democratic control. And the people have an interest in this house. We think that it's dangerous. We're going to look and see. We want an inspection of your house. Well, there is no authority to inspect a house. Okay, it just doesn't exist. It's a private house. It does not exist. There is no authority to inspect the house. Municipal need does not trump constitutionally guaranteed, God-given rights. It simply can't be. And so what we have with Judge Graham, Chancery Court Judge Graham in Sequatchie County, is overweening. It is a kind of tyranny. Okay, if you want to call it that, I'll let you use that word. I try not to use inflammatory language like that, but that seems to me to be what it is. That it is a tyrannical order that Mrs. Gaddy has to voluntarily admit to an inspection or face jail. She's going to go to jail, and you know why she's not doing it? She says for the veterans, American veterans.
In-depth traffic, news, and information. Mornings on Nooga Radio, AM 1240 and 92.7